Welcome to our weekly show for the National Association of Independent Medical Practices. You can find us at NAIMP.org. NAIMP is an organization focused on helping independent medical practices become more successful by providing innovative discussions, networking with like-minded professionals, and opportunities for growth, education, and increased revenue. Check out our website today at naimp.org.
Hello, this is Shirley Crest-Dudley, your host for NAIMP Podcasts. And today I'm excited. We have a guest, Kevin Weir. Kevin is a business coach with Action Coach Business Coaching, a worldwide franchise of business coaches and consultants specializing in small to medium-sized businesses. Kevin has over 27 years of professional experience as a military officer, regional marketing manager, operations manager, and career executive coach. He also has an MBA from Washington State University. Kevin has won major national awards for his excellence in coaching and brings his in-depth knowledge of marketing and coaching to business owners within the medical field. Kevin is also author of First Aid for a Wounded Business and author of First Aid for a Wounded Dental Business, which gives clinic owners in distress an easy-to-use manual to help their clinics survive difficult business problems. Kevin is married to his wife, Gina, who is a cardiology nurse, and children Alex, 20, and Allie, 19. So Kevin, we're really happy to have you today and excited about your presentation, How to Go from Solo Practitioner to Real Business Owner.
Well, thank you very much, Shirley. I'm really excited to be with you here today and talk with your audience. And really what I want to focus in on is the ability for you as business owners to go from where you are now to potentially where you want to be. So before we get started, obviously Shirley gave a great introduction here. As I said, I own an Action Coach franchise in the state of Washington. I am a licensed business coach. I authored 2 books, First Aid for Wounded Business and First Aid for Wounded Dental Business. I also have a Master's of Business Administration from Washington State University, go Cougs. I also got my undergraduate there. And I was presented with the prestigious Action Man Award in both 2003, 2004, 2009, and 2011 within the Action Coach organization. Getting this once or twice is pretty good, but getting it 4 times is considered pretty darn good. And I was also inducted in the Action Coach President's Club in 2007 and the Chairman's Club in 2013. So obviously I've got some time in service with Action Coach, and I've been able to have a direct impact on basically have a really strong impact on the client community that I've worked at for years. And how did I get into medical practice, coaching medical practices? Well, obviously I'm married into a medical family. My father-in-law was a hospital administrator for years, and my wife has been a cardiology nurse for years. And I was fascinated by how medical practitioners were very good at their craft, but never had, many of them struggles in developing business. So it really helped me to understand the challenges that medical businesses have had over the years. So the first concept I want to talk about today is probably one of the most important concepts. So if you have notes, I would really appreciate that you go ahead and get a blank piece of paper and draw a line in the middle of your page. And below that line, I want you to write 3 words: blame, excuses, and denial. This is what we call living below the line. Now, have you ever heard this before? Well, it's so-and-so's fault that didn't get done. Well, that's classic of the blame nature that goes on in our businesses. Or how about this one? Well, I would have done a better job if it wasn't for ... Those are excuses that we make up in life that basically prevent us from moving forward. And the biggest one here is denial. And this is sometimes I hear this. Well, Kevin, you know, I work 75, 80 hours a week, and it's really not that big of a deal. And my response to them is, okay, let's hop in your car, let's drive to your house, let's sit down with your spouse and children, and let me ask them how they feel about your hours. Ouch. Because denial is probably the most insidious of the three below-the-line reactions. It's easy to identify people who blame others. It's fairly easy to make people making excuses, but it's hard when we live in denial. And this is where, when you're living below the line, you're a victim. How many times in your medical practice have you had to deal with your employees who have been below the line? Or what about yourself? How many times have you been below the line? See, the people who are below the line are what we call victims in society. And one of my favorite things is that victims basically are all over the place. The biggest collection of sit on the stage of the Jerry Springer show, if you've seen that before. But when you're above the line, you take ownership for everything that goes on in your business and your life. You're accountable for the results that you get, and you take responsibility. See, the idea here is that we're victors. When we take ownership, and if you think about the word ownership, there's two words, own and ship. You own your own ship as a business owner. Therefore, you're accountable for the results that you get. And you're also responsible for what happens. Because here in the medical world, it's very easy to blame insurance companies. Well, my reimbursement schedule has gone down, therefore I'm not profitable. And yet there's still lots of profitable medical practices out there. What's stopping you? And at the end of the day, everybody is playing on pretty much the same playing field. What you need to understand is the way you react to things that go on. If you are constantly below the line with your team, if you're blaming the economy, if you're blaming insurance companies, if you're blaming patients, if you're blaming the staff, making excuses for why things aren't going, then that's on you. So one of the things that I want you to do as business owners is I want you to start working with your team to get them above the line. First of all, you have to be above the line. You have to take ownership, accountability, and responsibility. And then you need to coach your team to be above the line at all times, for them to take accountability and them to take responsibility. Because when we live above the line, we have a huge impact on people's lives, and it has an impact on your business life. So because when you're below the line, you've got reasons. You know, it's so, you know, I have a reason for failing. I have a reason for not doing this or that. But when you're above the line, you get results. It's all about what kind of the results at the end am I going to get. So to make sure you get the most out of your learning, you must be willing to get rid of what I call the I knows. Now, how many of you have teenagers out there? Probably a number of you. Have you ever heard this before? Yeah, Dad, or yeah, Mom, I know. Well, what happens is do they, anything you communicate to them afterwards sink in? No. It's like throwing a rock up against the side of a battleship. So the whole idea here is it's the same with you. You have to get rid of those I knows. And how many of those I knows do you have in your life today? Yeah, I know how to do this. I know how to do that. You can't tell me anything. I already know everything. Well, we need to get rid of those I knows and instead put something else in there that says, isn't that interesting? Because interesting is neither right nor wrong, it just is. And it opens us up for learning. Talking with a clinic owner one time and attended one of my business workshops, and the person came up to me and said, you know, Kevin, you didn't tell me anything I didn't know today. I said, that's very interesting. Tell me a little bit more about your business. And he complained about how, you know, what kind of negative state his business was in. And I said, so if you know all of those things, is there a reason you haven't implemented any of that knowledge into your business? See, the problem with many people isn't necessarily the lack of knowledge that they have, it's the lack of implementation of that knowledge. Or it's the failure to accept new knowledge coming in and being able to integrate that. So when you say to yourself, when you hear something new, and you say to yourself, isn't that interesting, you leave yourself open for learning new things. So the whole idea here is to get rid of those I knows. You know, not only yourself, but your team members. Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? You're blocking learning through that. So let's take a look and let's think about your business for a minute. You know, the question is your business driving you, or are you driving your business? See, here's the whole thing, is that when you walk in the door, is everything just react, react, react? Yes, you need to see patients. Yes, you need to deal with medical care issues. But at the same time, are you actually driving your business? Do you have a game plan? Do you have strategies that you're using? Because too many business owners just spend their time reacting to everything. And I don't want you to react. I want you to drive your business forward. So let me ask you this. What do you think the #1 reason for business failure is? Is it lack of money? Is it lack of enthusiasm? Is it, you know, some other lack? Well, no, really. Research shows us very clearly the #1 reason for business failure is burnout. As it says here, attitudes are contagious. Mine might kill you. So the question is that how many of you out there are arriving at burnout stage? You just have worked so many years. You're tired of this. It's just the same old grind, and you just rather get out of what you're doing and do something else. Here's the question is that if you get out of that and do something else, are you going to be happy? See, there's the problem with burnout. The biggest reason for burnout is that we never make progress in our business and in many cases in our lives. And so what we want to talk about today is how do I get out of that potential burnout stage that I may be coming up to? So what's our definition of a successful business? See, I get a lot of people asking this question. So what's your definition of successful business? And I get a lot of different answers all over the map. But I want to give you what I see is the most succinct definition of a successful business. Either, and it doesn't matter if it's in a medical practice, in a jewelry shop, in a factory, or whatever that is. And that is, a successful business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. Oh, come on, Kevin. I'm a doctor. I have to see patients. There's no way this business runs without me. Okay, but here's the thing is, it can run without you. It has the ability to run without you. You have to believe beyond what your current circumstances in your business today. So so here's the question is that how do I get to that definition? Well, first of all, do you want to get to that definition? Some medical practitioners will always want to see patients and will want to be tied that way to the business. And if that's what you want, okay. But if you really do want to get to this level of a definition of a business, then how are we going to do that? Well, there's basically a very systematic process in how to get there. And what I want to do today is walk you through that so you have a crystal clear understanding of how to get from one point to the next. So what we have here, I'm going to take a few minutes on this slide, is we've got what we call the 6 steps to master result in any business. Now the first level is what we call mastery. Mastery is basically the job to eliminate chaos. Now there's 4 steps in mastery, which I'm going to cover here in a few minutes. Destination mastery, financial mastery, time mastery, and then delivery mastery. We're going to go through all 4 of those because this mastery level is the foundation for your business. All these next steps up that I'm going to walk through here are conditioned on you having the ability to have mastery in your business. See, once the whole idea of mastery is to eliminate that chaos so that you create stability in your business. Now that will allow us to get to niche. What is niche? Niche is where we have predictable cash flow. This is where now we have patients coming in on a constant basis instead of what I see a lot of times in medical practice is the constant peaks and valleys. New patients, great. Uh-oh, we need more patients. Up and down and up and down. Now, once we get into the niche, now we're doing some good marketing. And I'll talk about how the niche process works. Then that allows us to go in. This gives us more cash. Cash then supports what I call the leverage level. Leverage is now helping you to have efficiency in your business, systems in your business, extra marketing in your business that's not dependent upon you, more employees to do things for you, allowing you to have more finances to leverage yourself. So once you get through the leverage portion of your business, then you'll have more time to focusing on your team. Now your team then is structured for you to grow. This is where you start having the ability to not have just employees doing individual jobs, but everybody works well together on a team. A great basketball, I'm here in Spokane. We love the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Go Bulldogs, go Zags. And one of the things that I always like to talk to people is, imagine if the Zags were all about one player who hogged the ball and never shared it. Would they ever win a game? No. So the whole idea here is getting a team working together helps you structure for growth. This then allows you to put a general manager in place. Now a general manager could be one of your associates that steps up to the plate to run the business for you. Then the synergy is what I call a well-oiled machine, or what I call 1 + 1 = 3. So the sum of the whole is greater than the equal parts. Then what happens is that allows you to then have passive income, or even potentially sell the business to get you to results. Results is now where you have your personal growth and or a new business. See, the biggest thing that happens inside of the medical business is that, let's just say that you get out of school, you got your own practice, and finally at 68 years old, you're getting ready to sell the practice. Now, you think it's going to be valued at one number, and then when you go to the marketplace, it's a lot less than you anticipated. Why? Well, because it isn't really structured to sell at as a large multiplier as you had thought. So the question then is, when it comes to your retirement planning, how much would you need to sell your business for to achieve the lifestyle you want? Well, obviously, if you can get this business to run without you, the value of your practice is exponentially larger than what it would be if you're still sitting down just working at the mastery level. So I want you to think through this today and say, well, what is it? What are my dreams? What do I want to do with my life? And if I build my business to achieve that definition, then maybe that's what I want to strive to do. Is it going to happen overnight? No. But at the same time, we have to understand that life is more than just working. So now let's talk about mastery. Mastery allows us to go from chaos to control. As I said, there's 4 general areas within mastery. The first, so mastery is the commercial enterprise portion of the 6 steps, as we talked about. So there's those 4 areas to mastery we talked about. Number 1 is destination mastery. Number 2 is money mastery. Number 3 is time mastery. And then number 4 is delivery mastery. So let's walk through each one of these. And I'm going to talk about the importance of the order that we're doing this in also. So the first level is that destination mastery. So here's the thing, is that really it's no use going out and building a great clinic if you have no idea where you are going. Too many times we either buy a clinic or start a clinic, and we have this idea of, well, we get new patients in and I'm going to be my own business owner. Woohoo! But here's the challenge is that, you know, if you don't know where you're going, all roads will lead you there. So a major portion of coaching, early coaching, is helping people define their direction. Where is it that you want to be? You know, Stephen Covey, author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, made a great statement in there. He says, you need to begin with the end in mind. What does that mean? Well, for you as a business owner, what do you want your business to look like when it's finished? You're never really going to be finished with the business until you finally sell it. So it's an ongoing process. How do we go about doing that is what I talk about in the slide here. If I give a person direction, they can run really fast. Where am I going? You know, that leads to clarity if you know where you're going and you have the action steps that you need to take, that's going to lead to a lot of success. See, this is where what I talked about earlier, you need to get aligned with where you are now and where you're going. So, and take a look at Destination Mastery. I want you, here's your first homework assignment as your coach. I want you to write down your personal goals for your life and your business goals with your life. But personal is first, because remember this, your business needs to be designed around what you want to achieve in life, not the other way around. So your first homework assignment is to come up with 5 personal goals that you want to achieve in life. What does that look like? And put them into what I call SMART goals. They're specific, measurable, achievable, results-oriented, and time frame. Give strong definition to those dreams, first of all. Put a dream out there. And then what are the goals that you need to establish to put that dream together? Then obviously is and then we need to put the plan together and the steps. But before we can get started, you need to know where you're going. So once we got destination mastery in place, now we need to talk about money mastery. So not only do you as a business owner need to know your historic numbers, you also need to know the ones that will create your future. If you have a big dream that you want to put out there and you have some very defined goals, what's it going to take financially to get there? Too many practice owners have no ability to make a decision due to lack of information. Here's the thing that I see going on. You basically, if you have money in your checking account, you're happy, and you have no money in your checking account, you're sad. Well, the problem is that you don't know, you haven't tracked anything, you can't measure anything, so how do you know if you're basically successful in business? You know, if we were to manage, if we want to manage something, we have to measure it. There's so many different measurements that you can do in your business, but are you doing it? So what are some of the things that you need to do in your business to measure what I call key performance indicators? So what would be a key performance indicator? How about this? Patient retention. How many of your patients are you retaining on an annual basis? You know, set scene ratios. What percentage of your patients that you set an appointment for actually show up? You know, what is your recall? Patients that are going to be supposed to be seen on an ongoing basis, are they coming in for their periodic 6-month checkups, 90-day cleanings, annual physicals? Do you measure that? And this is both accounting numbers and testing and measuring numbers. Do you read your profit and loss statement on a monthly basis? Do you understand what it's telling you? Do you know how to read a balance sheet? And do you know how to understand your statement of cash flow and how all of that integrates? Without accurate numbers, it's very hard for you to make strategic decisions within your business. So once we develop good, solid money mastery, then we need to look at time mastery. See, now we're going to look. We are looking to build the team and the practitioner's productivity. How much are they really earning? How much, how productive are they with their time? Now, on top of that, you want to coach your team on urgency and timeliness. How quickly are we getting things done? Or are we taking way too long to get something accomplished? So basically what we need to do is we need to focus in on the timeliness of high priority tasks. So in a medical practice, what does that look like? Well, one of the things is the scheduling matrix developed and used. In other words, do you have time slots populated into your calendar for different types of patients? The problem is that if you, let's say that you're a dentist, and let's just say that you have a root canal, and it's supposed to be a 2.5-hour block, and then you put a new patient right into the next block. Now, we know that a lot of times root canals may run over time. Now, all of a sudden, we go into that new patient time, and they're sitting in that waiting room going 15, 20, 30 minutes over, and they're starting to lose faith in you to be able to take care of them. So what's the most, take a look at your calendar, see how you're structuring them for maximum efficiency. Again, patient reactivation activity schedule. Do you have those blocked in for your team to accomplish? Downtime activities, listen and prioritize. When it's slow, do we have a list of things for the team to do, or are they kind of staring at the walls wondering what's next? Knowing your key performance indicators. And remember this, time mastery is almost like a time budget. Just like I talk about in financial mastery, we need to do budgets. Well, in time mastery, we need to have a time budget. We need to know how well we're performing. And then look at the positive cash flow activities, such as following up accounts receivable. What are we doing to make sure that our ARs are being collected on a timely basis? I'll give you a quick story. I had a chiropractor I was working with once who basically, his team was too busy to do anything other than take care of patients. Well, what was happening is that they were doing their billing incorrectly, and so they would get a notice back in of non-payment because of coding issues. Well, then they would just file that away because they were too busy doing other things. And then he says, I've got a cash flow crisis. Well, when we started taking a look at, sure enough, there's a whole bunch of insurance claims that had gotten rejected simply because of coding issues, and nobody ever followed up on it. So what positive cash flow activities are we doing consistently in our business? And then high productivity activity is the outcome here. How well do we use time to make money in a business and to serve patients well, which allows us to bring in finances into our business. Then finally, the fourth area is delivery mastery. The question is, are you delivering your care consistently within your practice? Because consistency equals a foundation for a healthy growth. One of the big focuses that I work on with any kind of medical practice is what I call continuity of care. Now let me explain. Some of you may understand this concept, some of you may not. Let me explain it. Let's say, Dr. Smith, that you've got one way of treating a patient, and you've created the way that your patients have gotten used to you. Now you bring in Dr. Jones as your associate. Dr. Jones is a whole other way of treating patients. Well, what happens is that, let's say that you're out on vacation and they have to see Dr. Jones. And now all of a sudden they get a totally different experience because you've got different ways and different processes of doing things. That can be jarring for a patient because patients want to have some level of consistency. So here's the idea is, do you have a written down continuity of care documentation that gives generalized standards of how we take care of patients? Now, I understand you're responsible for your own licenses, and yet at the same time, you have the ability, or should be having the ability, to focus in on being able to deliver that consistent care that patients come to depend upon as you grow your business. Now, let's move on to niche. Niche is now where we have predictable cash flow. Now, this is going to be a very important area once we get through the mastery. Because here's the thing is niche, as I said, is now we have a commercial profitable enterprise. See, when you're at mastery, you just have that commercial enterprise, not even profitable yet. Once we start moving, once we get mastery solidified, now we're working in the niche to create profits within your business. So how do we go about doing that? Well, let's take a look at this. Basically, there's 5 ways to grow a business. Now, let me explain what I mean here. Now, most practice owners know 3 main things. Number 1, how many patients they have. Number 2, what the production is. And 3, how much profit you make. I mean, let's face it. If all you do is get your tax return done on an annual basis, you know how much profit you make. Most medical practitioners do know how much they produce in a month, and most medical practitioners know how many patients are on their database. So the question then becomes, what goes beyond those key 3 numbers? As I said, these are just all results. you can't just roll out of bed tomorrow and get more patients, or you can't just roll out of bed tomorrow and have more profits. But this is where it gets really exciting. So basically, I want you to there's 5 main, let's put some numbers in here. I'm going to explain this concept here in a second. Now there's 5 main areas. If you're taking notes, there's 5 main things that we want to focus in on. Number 1 is number of leads times your conversion rate equals patients. So patients just don't show up. You have to go out there and find them by getting a lead, and then when they call in, convert them into becoming patients. Then once they become patients, you have to basically get them to increase the number of transactions with them. How many times do they visit you a year? Times your average dollar sale or average production amount. That equals your total production. Production times the profit margin in your business equals your profit. Now, let me explain this. I'm going to give you some illustration numbers and walk you through this formula so you totally understand what's going on here. Let's take a very small clinic, okay? Let's say that the clinic gets 4,000 prospective patients that, say, come to your website. They might call, they might, stop by, whatever. And let's say of those 4,000 prospective patients, 25% of them actually come and see you. What is that? How many is that, math majors? Well, that's 1,000 patients. So now, of those 1,000 patients, let's say on average that they come and see you 2 times a year. Let's say they come in for a physical and maybe the appointment to cure the sniffles, or if you're a dentist, they come in for cleaning twice a year, or they may come in for cleaning and then have a crown put on. And let's say that you bill them $100 every single time. Some are going to be smaller, some are going to be larger. So that would mean in this particular case, we would have $200,000 in production annually. Pretty small clinic, definitely a pretty small clinic. And let's just say that 25% of your, 75% of your production goes to paying the basic expenses, including your salary. That would mean you only have $50,000 in profit. Pretty small. Now, let's go ahead and let's just do a 10% increase. So number of leads, let's say a business goes from 4,000 to 4,400. So in a medical practice, how would you go about increasing your number of leads? Well, we would have to look at different marketing strategies. Is your website up to date? Do you actually have some level of partnership with other medical practitioners? I'm working right now with a chiropractor, and one of the things that I'm having him do is partner up with general practice docs who want another way to cure some difficult-to-cure patients. So what are you doing to create those additional lead sources? And then conversion rate. Let's say we increase your conversion rate from 25 to 27.5%. How would you increase the conversion rate in a medical practice? Maybe scripting. How well do when a prospective patient calls in, how well are we converting them into an actual appointment? So now that brings us 1,210 patients. So then we have number of transactions. Let's say we increase our number of transactions from 2 to 2.2. So how do we increase the number of transactions in a medical practice? Well, a lot of this is basically getting them to schedule their next appointment once they're done with their current appointment. So if it's a dental clinic, you make sure they're booked in for the next hygiene appointment. If you're in a chiropractic appointment, you make sure that you've got them scheduled in for massage. If you're a general practice doctor, you make sure that their next physical is on the calendar, even if it has to be a year out. So there's lots of different ways to increase their transactions, and this isn't about training patients. This is about helping the patients get the care that they need. So let's say we increase our average dollar sale from $100 to $110. So how do we do that in a medical practice if we are tied to insurance reimbursement rates? Well, there's a lot of different ways to doing that. Are you offering other cash-based services that your patients can take advantage of? Do you put some of that, bundle that together within your business? One of my favorite things to do is there's some health and wellness products that the patient could be sold that would really help them out if you sold them because you're their trusted health advisor. That would then lead us to go from production from $200,000 to $292,820. And that basically then, if let's say we increase our profit margins from 25 to 27.5%. How do we increase profit margins in a medical practice? Well, probably the first thing to take a look is what kind of waste do you have? Where are you inefficient right now in your medical practice? Do you keep too many supplies on your shelves? Are staff not producing? Is there some sort of financial loss going on? One of the biggest challenges that I see in medical practices is embezzlement, because too many business owners in the medical field do not pay attention to their financial mastery, and they're open for embezzlement. I'm not saying that that's happening to you, but you need to be aware of it. So that takes us our profits from $50,000 to $80,525.50. So that right there is a 40% increase in your production and a massive 61% increase in your profits by just moving the needle 10% in those 5 areas. Now ask yourselves, could I do that in a 1-year time frame? My experience is yes. If you could actually think about this with exercise, when you go to the gym and start exercising, do you just simply work on your arms? No. You work on your entire body. So you work on those 5 ways that I talked about all at once. And even with those small changes in those 5 areas, you can get some massive results in your business. So here's a question that I have for each one of you. What would you do with an extra $30,525.50 or a 61% increase in more profit? How much more, how much more could you reinvest back into your business to grow your business so they can be a commercial, profitable enterprise that could potentially work without you? So Jim Rohn, one of the great American business mentors who passed away a couple years ago, basically said something that I think is very powerful. He said this: never wish your life were easier, wish that you were better. And therefore, he also said something else: work harder on yourself than you do on your job. So what does that mean for you, the business owner? It really means that you have to look and develop your skill sets, not only as a medical practitioner, but your ability to lead, to motivate, to make solid business decisions, and to create a direction that people will follow. So you have to really look at yourself and say, wait a minute, I've gone to lots and lots of continuing education and learning new techniques with the medical field, but have I totally forgotten how I need to make myself better as a business owner? So Brad Sugars, who is founder of Action Coach, he also made another comment. He says, where you will be in 5 years will depend upon the books that you read, number one, the people you associate with, and the actions you take. This gets back to my earlier slide of the I know and isn't that interesting, because you may know a lot of the stuff that I talked about in this webinar today. The question is, what actions are you taking with that? Knowledge, one time when somebody came up to me and says, you know what, Kevin, knowledge is power. And I told them, hogwash. They go, what? I said, yeah, hogwash. The person goes, what do you mean, Kevin? I said, applied knowledge is power. Universities are full of educated idiots, full of knowledge, but with no way to put that into real-world use. You right now are in your business. You have the ability to take actions and put this knowledge into real-world use. So I want to thank you so much, and it was really a pleasure interacting with you today. And Shirley, I'm going to give it back to you.
Okay, super. Thank you, Kevin. That's been a lot of great information. And if you would like to learn more, you can reach Kevin at actioncoach.com/Kevin Weir, W-E-I-R, or you can email him, kevinweir@actioncoach.com, or call him at 509-309 2922. Now you can also get that information by going to our website, naimp.org, and you can see the slides from today's presentation and all of Kevin's contact information. And we also encourage you to go to NAIMP to learn more about the regular information, education, and networking that's available on that site. So thanks again, and what great information that you shared with us today, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Check out our website today at naimp.org.